Hey everyone! So, I promised a video on the categories for the budget. My last video didn't really go into a lot of detail. I'm going to try to go into a few more details this time. So, I explained that I set up a budget online and on my phone, and now I'm going to talk about the categories for the budget. Now, if you pull up the app, it's called the EveryDollar app. If you pull up the app, it has categories in there, and you can use straight what it has in there. You can rename the categories. I renamed some of them, and I included things in a few of them, like a lump sum type category. Like for internet, in my EveryDollar app, I consider it my infotainment category, because I include my internet, my Netflix, and my Amazon. Now, when I first started, I had a whole bunch of other things. I had Spotify and Pandora and Wi-Fi in my vehicle, cable, and other things like that. And I have since cut almost all of those out because when I made a budget, I decided I wanted to live on a certain amount a month, and that was it. So I had to cut a whole lot of things. Anyway, for the purpose of the categories, it's better to start simple. You have your household, which would be your mortgage or your rent. You have, in that, you would have your electricity, any other utilities, and your household internet or cable, security systems, that kind of thing. You might want to put your phone in on that one. I really consider that a household expense, mainly because all of these are fixed expenses. These expenses don't change from month to month for the most part. The electricity and the utilities, they might change a little bit depending on how you have yours set up, but for the most part, these don't change. These are simple. Put them in, you're covered. You know, that's your budget set for that part. Now, the rest of the budget is usually variable. The rest of my budget is like gas for the car, maintenance, food, pet supplies, credit cards, and unexpected expenses, any debt you might have. Now, some of the debts are fixed expenses, but the reason I'm leaving them out of the household is because they're not a fixed expense that you would keep forever. Most people want to get out of debt when they retire, or need to get out of debt, and best case is to keep it as a separate expense. That way you can put more of your extra cash towards it and pay it off as quickly as possible. That's what I did, because I wanted to live off a certain amount a month, and I would not be able to do that if I kept all of the payment, the consumer debt, the car payment, the other payments that were going on. So with the variable categories, what I did is I went back a year and in my bank account, and I added up every single thing I spent in these categories for the year. And sometimes it gets confusing, because if you spent money at Walmart, did you spend it on only groceries, or did you spend some on clothes, or did you spend some on your pets? And some of that can get really confusing. So I tried to make it simple. If I knew that I had spent certain amounts of money on things, I put that in a separate category. But for the most part, money spent at a grocery store or Walmart or that kind of thing, unless I seen it on the ticket specifically, it all went into the same category. So when I got an average, what I did is I added them all up, divided by 12, and I got the monthly average. I can't remember exactly what mine was to start with, because it's been several years ago. I'm gonna make a wild guess. It was about $700 a month, because it was a pretty significant amount of money. So I decided that category I was going to be flexible on. I was also going to be flexible with some other categories, like my unexpected expenses. Unexpected expenses to me is going into Target for one thing and coming out with a buggy full, or you need tires on your car, or you have to renew your tag for your car, or you have to pay for your HOA annual dues, termite inspection, getting your grass cut, or some landscaping done, or putting a roof on your house, or replacing an appliance, that kind of stuff. So those would go under unexpected expenses. And over a year, I went back and added all of those up and divided by 12, and I got an average. And the average for mine was about $300 or $400 a month, which, if you're on a budget, that's a pretty significant amount of money. So you end up spending way more money on these unexpected things, or unconscious spending, as I like to call them, than you really realize. Because when you get your paycheck and you start spending it, and you buy this and you buy that, and you don't have a budget, it kind of overwhelms you, because at the end of the month, you're looking around like, okay, where did my money go? And why don't I have any left to save? So that's the reason for all the categories, and the reason to go through the categories and find out where your money was going before, in order to set them up properly. So you say you've been spending about $700 or $800 a month on food and anything related to that kind of spending. So what you want to do before you actually set up your budget is, maybe you want to set your budget up and you want to go. You don't want to have to do anything else. What I suggest you do is take, like if it's $700 a month, cut it down to $600 if you're able to do that. Now, if you're not able to do that, you don't have a choice. Cut it down just a little bit, and then anytime you go to spend money, anytime, like if you go to Target and you're going to buy something, get what's on your list and stick with it. Because if you don't, you're going to go right back to where you were, and then you're going to have to put it in your app. Then as you go, you can see how much you were spending. Now, for me, what has worked for me is I take a specific amount of money out every week of my bank account. I go to the ATM, I draw out $100, and that's all I've got for the week. And I use it for my unconscious spending. I have a couple of hobbies that I like, and I don't want to just be sitting at home twiddling my thumbs saying I'm saving money, because, we're still alive. We still have to do something. And you can't just cook and eat and clean house and play with your pets 24/7. You have to have something to live for. So I have $100 that I take out every week. That's what I consider, and it's not in any one specific category. It can be food or unexpected expenses, because most of the time I like to pay for my food with cash, because the physical feeling of giving away that $20 bill, it really does. It means a lot more to me than a piece of plastic. Maybe it's because of my age, I don't know, but it means a lot more to me than giving my debit card or credit card or whatever. So when the money starts getting low, I know I can't just run down to the store and get me some ice cream or whatever, or go out to eat with my friend. I really have to think about it. Is this something I really want to spend my money on? Because I did a lot of unconscious spending whenever I was working. So I hope this wasn't too confusing, but setting up the categories is pretty tough. It sounds like it's a real easy thing to do, but it really wasn't for me. It was kind of tough, and because some things bleed over into other things, and you kind of don't know where to put it. But the household for me was the easiest, because pretty much everything is set, and you're not going to really be changing too much of that. Okay, so what we'll talk about next time, let's see, we'll talk about credit cards next time. Credit cards and debt. That's what we'll talk about next time, okay? So don't forget to like the video and subscribe to move us up in the algorithm. And I'll talk to you next time, and I hope you have fun with this. And if you're not having fun with it, then you're probably doing it right. Sorry about that.